You know, look at a state where does not even belong to him, Lagos State. He won. What more of is the areas where it is his own political parties that are there? They will be galvanized to put more effort to ensure that he wins. So I think structure may not be expedient, but it is important. It is important in political some things. Some politicians, their popularity has not reached a certain level. The structure moves them to that level. Some politicians have that clout and momentum with the people, but they need that structure to push them. So many factors are responsible for the performance of political parties. Bola Tinubu is very, very unpopular in Nigeria. We all know everything. If not for the APC states where they worked for him, he could not have won the election. There was no way because he was not popular. But because they had APC had 22 states or 21 or 22, I can't really place at that time. It was those governors that actually worked, and working means rigging. They rigged the election for him. We had and some of the governors in certain states that were supposed to be PDP worked against the PDP. For instance, in Rivers State, Wike was able to use his money to rig the election in favor of APC. Have you ever seen where in Rivers where APC will win presidential and win governorship and win all the state assembly and win all the House of Reps and win all the Senate? But in the presidential, the APC won. You know what happened there. You don't have to be told that it was a situation of abracadabra. The more you see, the less you understand. So if you take a holistic look at these things, there is opposition in Nigeria. The opposition is not formidable enough. And I think as there will be alignments and realignments. And if those alignments and realignments come, I believe that the opposition will be more formidable. And we are not talking about 2027. Whether Tinubu likes it or not. You see, when a tsunami comes, it does not wait for anybody. If the politicians are united in the fight against Tinubu, even if he's the president, he will not even know when he will say, I surrender. But it is because the politicians are waiting for something to gain. Once they don't gain it, then that is when they will now begin to align and realign. And perhaps it is not even about money. Some people think that every politician thinks it is about money. No, some people want to be in position of power. Why I'm believing that the current opposition we are having is not even Buhari himself. His opposition was his people. It's the people around who were fighting. It was not the political party that was fighting. It was not CPC that was fighting. It was not it was not AMPP that was. It was the people around him. It was around the people around Tinubu that were fighting. It was people around Amechi that were fighting. Now, if we have this is what is happening currently. We have the obedience. People around Obi are fighting. People around Atiku are fighting. Where are the other people around those people? They are not fighting. That's why we see that the opposition is not formidable. If Wike is in the PDP and his people around him are fighting, Bala Muhammad people around him are fighting, party will not work, but the politicians need to align and realign if we have to defeat the incumbent. And defeating the incumbent in 2027 is easy because there are so many things on ground to be able to, in fact, including the forgery of the certificate, which was not admitted. It will still be admitted in 2027. So many factors are on the ground for us to be able to. So for us to take a defeatist position, I think it's wrong. Let me stop here so that I will allow some other people to speak. If the need for me to speak again arises, I will come. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Umar Sani, for your contribution. Let me start from where you stopped. You talked about somebody's mic is on. Umar, can you please mute your mic? Thank you. Let me start where you stopped. You talked about the issue of the certificate. I'm going to when the time comes, Dodger is here. I want to hear from him in regards to that. because we have heard that issue have not been resolved. Perhaps there will be an opportunity for them to use it against Tinubu not to run in 2027. But then again, you have the opinion that the opposition still have what it takes to continue to work within the political party that they belong to, and you do not believe that it will be the right thing at this point to form a new political party, which, that is your opinion, and I believe that should be
No, I
respected.
didn't say within their own political party. I said, just to correct it, I said there will be alignments and realignments.
Okay, Umar, hold your thoughts for a minute. Okay, all right. I lost my train of thought now. What was I gonna say again? I can't remember what I was gonna say again. I think I was going to make a very valid point, but I can't remember it right now. Can't remember it. Okay, let me leave it there. So quickly, let me go to. Okay, let me try and get myself together. Okay, health is wealth. Are you able to speak? Let me quickly go to Darren. Darren, you have the mic.
Good evening, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Oh, okay. Good evening, Mindset. Good evening, the entire state. What next for the opposition? I mean, there are quite a lot of things that we've said here. Some of them I agree with, some of them I disagree with. But I'll just quickly remind Mr. Omar and Ms. Dr. Udo that they're forgotten that as it is now, the PDP, for instance, and I'm very sure that they're both tilting towards the PDP being the adopted political party for 2027. But as it is, you have, we're pointing out the, governors and the big names, quote and unquote, that, worked for Bola Ahmed Tinubu for the 2023 elections. So you've forgotten, the undermen within the grassroots, the different people that, because it wasn't just the governors that were compromised, there were other people that were compromised with money. And it didn't just happen in the PDP, it happened in the Labour Party. So if we're saying that one of these other two, are you very sure that you'll be able to weed out all of these people, as against 2027? Because I, for one, I am tilting very much towards where Mindset is leaning towards, that we need a new party. We need a party that, to a very large extent, you can vouch for quite a number. I'm very sure you'll not be able to vouch for, the entire party. But you need to be able to vouch for quite a large percentage of the people that will be working for you, that you are, quote and unquote, to a very large extent in alignment. And I'm not very sure that we'll be able to say that of both the Labour Party and the PDP between now. I mean, things change for human beings, but as of right now, I do not think there's anybody that can say that of either of the two big parties, big opposition parties. What do I think is next for the opposition? I honestly think that, at this point, I have almost given up on both of them. Because where do we even start from? We start from the elected officials that are currently in the House that are not saying anything about anything. Like, it's really shameful that the loudest voice in the National Assembly as of today, opposing some of the things that have come out of this government, is a member of the APC. So where do we want to start from? We've spoken so many times about how both political parties should be more engaging with the media about the policies of the current government. But as it is, they've not really done. They've been, sport events here and there where they come out and make some press statements, but they've not done anything, serious about that. So, if we've, for the last 2 months, said that they should be more engaging with the media and they've not done anything about that. If we, list out, a action plan for them now, what's the confidence that they will do anything about it? This is why I'm saying that I am not very sure that, I don't know, I've almost lost hope for the two of them. But be that as it may, I think that for the LP, because I'll speak about the LP that I am currently, in, I think that the obedient movement would have to, start taking our elected officials. We need to start tackling them. I, for one, was willing to give them, a bit of room because I thought that quite a lot of them had petitions in the tribunals and they were fighting for their seats. So I wanted to give them space to be able to, retain that seat. But once tribunals are done, I think that the obedient movement would have to start, questioning these people. Yes, we can question the other members of the House, but I mean, I think that to a very large extent, we have more of a hold on LP elected officers. And we need to start seriously talking to them. We need to start, if we need to threaten them, I mean, if we're going to have to do a campaign to recall, some of them to serve as a deterrent to others, because we need them to become opposition figures, like serious opposition figures. This particular government, day in, day out, does things, repeatedly that they should be called out for. And so far, nothing has really been done, except when, they do something and then it annoys Nigerians enough for them to cry about it on social media, and then the noise, reaches a particular crescendo. That's when we get any kind of, what's it called? Any kind of recall of whatever stupid thing they're about to do so far. But I think that the obedient movement would have to. We were the ones that, to a very large extent, got these people there. And we can. They are not as entrenched in their district, in their senatorial districts or in their constituencies as the elected officials from the legacy parties. They do not really have the machinery, quote and unquote, to be able to, if the citizens decide to make moves, mount against them, so to speak, they do not have the machinery to push back. So I think that is what we need to start holding over them. They need to understand that the other parties, maybe they can lean on their machinery to be able to retain their seats. But if you are not working for the people will call you. And if your seat would eventually go back to the legacy party, let you know that is what it is. You cannot, ride over the momentum of the people to get into the office and then get there and start forming kumbaya with legacy people. You cannot. It's either you are for us or you're against us. So if you're going to be against us, there has to be consequence. I think that's the only thing that I can see. Let's deal with the ones that we can, quote and unquote, handle. And then if we are able to do that for maybe a couple of them, maybe the rest of them will be willing to sit up and start doing active opposition. I mean, once the tribunals are over, they cannot get you out. We are the ones that can get you, removed from the seat. So you need to start listening to us. I think that is what I would, for them, talking about, the legacy parties or including Labour Party as it is right now, to sit down and do. I mean, what would the governors in PDP do if you're going to sabotage you? What exactly would whatever it is you think you're doing now, what would they achieve if your governors will tomorrow, ride and, erase all of what you thought you've done today? So that's just, my contribution, because frankly, I am tired. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you for your contribution. I will say this again, please. Anybody that needs to take a time off, from what happened on the 25th of February till now, it's very important you do that. It's very, very important for your health is more important than any other thing, right? The first law of nature itself. So you must take care of yourself. If anyone is tired, if everybody's just tired of politics, it's very important you do that. And I'm saying that with all sense of responsibility to everybody that's listening to me. For me, I've made up my mind that I'm going to follow this process. I follow the election to the end. And being an opposition against APC is going to be something that I've decided I want to do. Right? I want to do it. It's something I'm going to do. And I do not want anybody to join me. Please do your thing, because the last thing I need is somebody complain and say, "Oh, I'm tired. It's nothing is happening." This is how my mind works. I am going to be that opposition, and I want to do it on my own by myself, right? So, with respect, everybody can do what they want to do. You must find people of like mind. to be able to achieve something. And I've heard that it's not possible. I've heard that it cannot be done. I have that, it's just not enough time. And I take you back to one of the strongest party in Africa. The party Nelson Mandela belongs to. I forgot what it's called again. My mind is everywhere. Forgot the name of that party
ANC.
again. ANC. Thank you very much.
ANC.
Thank you very much. ANC, one of the oldest party in Africa. And when they had a problem with the young man then, Julius Malema, he had a problem. Julius Malema was one of those radical, permit me to use that word, in ANC then. When he was just a young man, but he loved the fact that ANC was the party he belongs to. But he had a problem with them. And he felt that, listen, guys, things are not going the way I think it should. When Nelson Mandela was in prison, we were all meant to believe that when he comes out, things will be better for the black people going through this party and everything. So, but this is not what we bargained for. The party, for some reason, he had a problem. Let me put it that way. He formed his own party, right? They have not won the election, but if you come to South African politics, it's after ANC now. DA is no longer, it was ANC and DA, and the other one, I forgot the name of the other one. But now DA is nowhere to be found. Julius Malema was able to come up with something. And was the Freedom Fighters, I forgot what it's called again, his party that we are in. They are very formidable, they are very strong. These things are possible. These things are possible. It is but if people believe that they want to continue with the party, there's a structure, I do respect that. I cannot tell people what to do. The only thing is I would offer my little 1 cent advice. If that will make a difference, so be it. But both on the problem in LP and the problem in PDP, I don't see a way that is what is going to work. Does that mean my word is going to be yes and amen? No. I have been wrong. I have always been, wrong in so many things. But these are my opinion. So quickly, before we have to we barely have about 5 minutes. So we have to be very mindful of time. You have the mic, please.
Thank you. For me, I don't know what is wrong with opposition. At the moment, we have no opposition. I know what I'm going to say might not be popular, but Obi has been very quiet. LP is not doing opposition. We all know PDP is compromised. I even have this project in mind where I want to get all the email addresses of the House of Rep members and senators so that we can reach out to them and play the part of opposition. If we were not like making noise on social media about this yacht business, it would have gone through. Labour Party did not make any noise. They did not make any press conference, nothing. It's like they don't have the spokesperson. They are quiet. It's like they are not there. And I want to agree with Derry that maybe these LP members and PDP members that are in NAS, maybe it's because they still have cases in court, so they are lying low for now. I've been thinking about that for them. That maybe they are lying low until their petitions go through. Then they can start doing what they ought to do. But they have been too quiet. We do not have opposition. Today, I was very depressed that APC is just getting away with murder. Look at what is done in Akwa Ibom, what is done in River State. I was asking somebody on the timeline today that can we go to court even if Senate has passed them? Because how can you do that? That is a blatant rape of democracy. How? So going forward, and I agree with you, I believe LP, the good people in LP and PDP, they need to come together and form another party. Those two vehicles are not, they're not, I'm trying to look for the word now. They are not a good vehicle. They are not good vehicles to go to 2027. No. We have moles in them. We have people who will work against Atiku, who will work against Peter Obi. In those parties. They are not good parties. I use the mic.
Okay, thank you very much. I listened to what you said about some of them having the reason they have not said anything because they still have some cases in court. But I will respectfully disagree. See, if that would be the argument, that would be the basis of them not doing that. I mean, we are living in a different climate, right? Okay, let's assume that some of them still have cases. What about those that their cases have been decided already? Are you still going to make the same argument for them? You see, one of the things that people fail to understand is you're fighting a government that works on propaganda, okay? And they will use propaganda to get what they're looking for. If your voice is high, I mean, there's a lot of things I believe that the opposition would have hold on to, even though if you have a bad case and all those kind of things. There's a way you present yourself. You hold on to what the former Justice Mohammed Musa Dadji just said about the judiciary. You speak about it. You hold on to it. There's a way you make noise, not the noise the governor, the president of Togo, is it? Gabon was telling to make noise. No, you just be able to present yourself very well. You become a vocal voice, right? That even the government himself will look at it and say, okay, if we do anything about this particular person, the people will react. Even they have not reacted, they look at what they're saying, look at what they've said about it, about the judiciary. I just want to remind you, one of the strongest politicians in Benue State, Gabriel Suswan, was just removed about 2 days ago. Right? He was former governor of Benue State. He was just removed from the Senate. Okay? So let's not, I mean, that should not be an excuse. You see, people need to understand what the opposition means. People need to understand how to play the game of the opposition. You must be able for these guys to look at you and say, if we do this now, they have the numbers. Yes, they might not react this way, but they will react that way. What do we do next? You make reference to the issue of the yacht and everything. You know, I don't want to, with respect, I do not want to agree that the reason they have not, it's just because they don't know what they're doing. They don't know the role of opposition. They just want to stay there and collect all the money they want to collect. I told you guys on this platform that some of your party members are actually reaching out to Wike and the rest of them and saying all kinds of nonsense, you know, for them to protect them and all these things. So that's not how you play the opposition. That's a possibility, and it's most likely it's going to happen. We're going to end up with a one-party state. If you're not speaking up now, when are you going to speak? Somebody's, you know, I don't want to agree with that, but I do respect your opinion. Quickly, there's somebody here. Let me quickly quickly have a look. That said she wanted to speak, but I cannot see Eziwanye. Please do leave this platform and try and come back again. Hopefully, I might be able to bring you up. That will quickly take me to Mr. Maswell. Mr. Maswell, what next for the opposition?
Good evening to you, Mindset. I would like to say good evening to everybody on the space once again. Now, it's rather unfortunate that we found ourselves at this point in our politics that we are even finding it hard to either agree or to disagree if indeed we have an opposition in Nigeria or not. Like you just said, looks like you've taken away some of the words from my mouth. Well, you see, Gilbert Campion defined parliamentary opposition as the opposition is the party for the time being in the minority, organized as a unit and officially recognized, which has had experience of office and is prepared to form a government when the existing ministry has lost the confidence in the country. It must have a positive policy of its own and not merely oppose destructively to ruin the game for the sake of power. Now, this is it. The question is, do we have an opposition? In, like somebody said, in theory or in paper, yes, we do. But what we see is that we have some sort of loosely organized opposition. That is what we have. A loosely organized opposition in Nigeria. People are trying to talk about the LP, talk about the PDP. What is that major flavor, that major ingredient that is missing in this establishment? Because now, as it stands, they are in the minority. by the definition I just gave. They are in the minority. And when you talk about to oppose, moreover, opposition comes from that word. To oppose, it means that you have been placed as a check on the established authority or on the established power. So you now see that ingredient is the fact that nobody is checking anything. The PDP is not checking anything. The Labour Party is not checking anything. Every other political party established in Nigeria. Remember that in that definition, I said that it is organized and recognized. So here we are talking about political parties organized and recognized. They are doing absolutely nothing. Those who are now more like an organized opposition are the people. But the people will always be there to oppose because they are the tail end of receiving the brunt of every ugly government. Except the PDP and Labour Party wake up, there will be nothing. Believe you me, we will continue and it will become a vicious cycle. We continue to go on and on and on and on. For the Labour Party, I am not surprised. The reason is very simple. Labour Party, even before this election, have always played transactional politics. It's a case of preparing candidates that probably will be sold on the basis of mergers or bringing out people to support. That's what they've been doing for some time. Forget the candidates that they've had who have won elective positions. So I am not surprised that this is happening. And I ask myself, is this the Labour Party I am considering to join? Because if you don't get that ingredient of checks, how do you check? How is it possible? Because I'm shocked. I'm really shocked. How is it possible that you see all of these things happening? There is absolutely no press conference. There is no member of the political party talking about it. We are talking about the appointment of politicians, of APC members into the electoral body that is supposed to preside over an election, that you have a candidate in a few months to come. Labour Party have a candidate there. PDP have a candidate there. You have not said anything. You've totally kept quiet. That the presidency in the budget, we are seeing 5 billion for a yacht, and you have not said anything. That they've budgeted over 1 point something billion for the office of the First Lady to buy vehicles. There is no press conference from the PDP, no press conference from the Labour Party, no spokesperson has written anything, nobody has said anything. So this ingredient is obviously lacking. And it is unfortunate that for us, for people like us, we voted, number one, because of the new Electoral Act, number two, because of Peter Obi and other reasons. And behind that voting, there was this sort of confidence in the Labour Party that they would represent the hopes and aspirations of the people by keeping that check. When we were putting about 50-something people in the parliament, there was this satisfaction I felt that I would begin to hear voices. I've written letters to my representatives under the umbrella of the Labour Party. They've not given me any feedback. I've not had them said anything about the letters I wrote to them on the floor, on the parliament. Absolutely nothing. Ireti Kingibe, who is representing the Federal Capital Territory at the Senate, she has won her elections. Final judgment has been given. Are you still going to say anything? Absolutely not. That the party even released the statement and say, LP candidates do not collect. It would have sufficed that on the parliament too, that they will condemn it. And when the cars come or when the money come, they supply the account number. It will even, I don't know if you are really getting it. There would be some kind of, you would drop some kind of trust in our moralities that, okay, some side of you condemns it, but because you are in the minority, you still collect it. But there's absolutely nothing, no regard. Now, the real question, what next for the opposition going forward? Let me try to round up. I know that time is fast spent, even though I'm speaking way late in the space. What is next for the opposition? What can we do? I had funny enough, I was even surprised we were having this conversation. Before I left the office, I had a conversation with a friend who was telling me about the possibility of creating a new party. Is that a possibility? I think that we can go home and ponder upon it. But the already established ones are what I want to talk about. The already organized, in quotes now, are what I want to talk about. If they are really ready for politics, if they are really ready for checks and balancing in governance, it is not this thing that we are seeing. They need to make strong decisions, make strong actions against the established body. It is funny that these people are not being advised, because now is a time that there are a lot of emotions flying around, and anybody who is speaking the voice of the people will get the support of the people. That is how funny it is. And that is why you can begin to hear that people are already, making mention of the people who are part of the APC who are speaking. People are beginning to celebrate Amechi, who is also a criminal in this same political transaction. People are beginning to support the man in the Senate in Dume and all of that. But the reality is that anybody, any of these political parties, the PDP or the Labour Party, that can take that cue and recognize that at the end of the day, they need the majority of votes to get to places of power. And the only way of winning it is standing by the place of the people, keeping checks, highlighting the ills, opposing it, whether it is good or bad. You bring it out to the public. You look for the flaws in it and bring it to ensure that you put these people on their toes. Except they do that, then there's absolutely nothing. Believe you me. I'll end my submission. Thank you very much, Mindset.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Maxwell, for your contribution, and thank you for reaching out to your representative in the National Assembly. And I must say this is very important. We recognize people who have done something. A few weeks back, we had somebody that came on the platform. It was Barrister Juliet, I remember, and she spoke to. She said she was going to speak to the LP representative that represented AMAC, and she spoke with the man regarding what happened to that young lady. The lady that lost her life and everything. So I must give credit to that as well. In as much as we say the opposition have not done anything, one thing I stand for: if there's something somebody have done, I like to remind the people, and I like to congratulate the person for actually doing such. Now, but moving forward, you mentioned the likes of Amechi, you mentioned the likes of Alain Dume. You see, one of the things I want to us to understand is this, right? If as it stands right now, you must look at it and say, who is going to help me to achieve what I needed to achieve? This is politics, all right? And this is one of the mistakes I believe a lot of people have made, and if care is not taken, we will continue to make. I will take you back to 2013, when APC was formed. I mean, the possibility of Bola Tinubu working with Buhari was not on the card. You cannot see that happening. They have different ideologies. CPC have its own ideology and the way they want to do things. ACN, permit me, have their own ideology. They have, so there's all that. It's not going to work. But then again, they find a loophole. I had when Umar was talking about the people, the three individuals in his own opinion that I want to use this word, destroyed PDP, if you permit me to use that word, but that's not what he said. I was trying to look for another word. But then again, he didn't mention, he mentioned Buhari, he mentioned Amechi, and he mentioned Tinubu. And I mean, what I understood from what he was trying to say is, if these three individuals did not come together, PDP would have lost that election. But there's something else, Umar, I want to put to Umar, maybe he can quickly respond to it, that I believe that caused the PDP the election in 2015. Now, it was that issue of Jonathan making that commitment that he wasn't going to run. That alone spoiled a lot of things. I remember that was when Obasanjo withdrew his support, right? So when we look at these things, sometimes commitment is very important in politics. Do what you say to people and say, I'm going to give me my word, I'm going to do this thing, is very important. So if Chibika Amechi is going to help the opposition, is Alain Dume, as much as he's part of the APC, is going to help the opposition. Believe you me, I will say to the opposition, you must work with these people. That's my point. You know, this is not a point. This is not a time to look at it and say, oh, no, 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 no. How can I accept this person? You must look at it and say, who can help me out where I am right now? Where we are, I do not think that people understand what we're dealing with. Where we are as a country is just a very bad situation. And if somebody supported Bola Tinubu and looked at it and said, listen, guys, I think this was not what I bargained for. I made a mistake. And this time around, I'm going to help whoever that is involved, is interested, for us to make sure that this man, the least we can give him is so and so and so year or whatever. I think that is not something to, disagree with. You know, I think that for me, I think such individuals should be looked at and said, okay, what can you offer based on the fact that you have worked with this man? What do you think the opposition can do? This is politics. So if it means that Chibuike Amechi, who is a member of the APC, wants to join PDP and make sure that this whole thing, this reign, this thing here, I'm trying to find a word, but I cannot find a word to qualify what the way I want to express myself. So I think it's very important. I think it's very important for people to reach out to the LP and the PDP spokespersons. It's very, very sad. The whole issue of the yacht, the whole issue of the wreck in Rivers State in the one. It was just, I saw some, please permit me, I saw some people that tweeted about it, right? I saw some tweets, that mentioned about this thing. But you want, as a party, you want to see somebody write something. You want to see command. You want to see that voice when someone speaks and say, we are not going to accept this. It's unacceptable. Let APC respond to you and say to you, actually, the reason we chose somebody from the APC is this. But because you have not said anything, they said, okay, they're still sleeping. Let's continue. Before you know it, every state will have an APC reg. One of the problems that LP will have in Imo State is not because Hope Uzodinma is the governor or he's the incumbent. He probably might not have the numbers. The obedience group and the people of Imo State do not want him, right? But let me tell you what the problem is here. The reg in Imo State is an APC person. She rigged it for APC. She actually went as far as going to the places where elections were not conducted. And she wrote all those results. So when we understand the power these regs carry, right, then it would help for the opposition to speak. We barely have about 15 minutes. Sorry, guys. This is Let's Talk with Princess, so I need to speak a little bit. Mr. Sani, you raise your hand quickly, sir.
You see, what I just wanted to say is about the commitment you spoke about, that Goodluck made a commitment. Goodluck had denied making the commitment, and he has challenged anybody who has the document. Babangida Aliyu said he had the document. Up to, as I'm speaking to you now, nobody has brought any document to say this is the commitment made. However, Obasanjo, when Goodluck Jonathan went to Abeokuta, we went for campaign, and he met Obasanjo. Obasanjo was saying that you promised to do one term, blah, blah, blah. It was a heated argument in front of Pastor Adeboye, and I think and one other pastor. Now, for those who don't understand what happened that time, it is important for me to state it. Goodluck annoyed Obasanjo in two places. One, Obasanjo wanted Goodluck to ensure that Tunji Olorin, retired General Tunji Olorin, became the governor of Ogun State, the candidate of the PDP, to be more precise. But Obasanjo was dilly-dally. Jonathan he said he would not interfere. And so Obasanjo went to court, and he succeeded in court. So Obasanjo had that in mind, that he helped Jonathan, and Jonathan refused to help him when he needed him. Secondly, to show his frustration, Obasanjo resigned from the chairman of the board of trustees of the party. his resignation was not truly intended to resign. He just wanted Jonathan to come and beg him and say, Haba, how are you? No, Jonathan didn't even bother to beg him. He just quickly put Tony Anini there. And so, because of that anger, Obasanjo even went to visit Oshomole to express his anger about Jonathan, even though Oshomole was not a member of our party at that time. So the argument of that commitment is still doubtful, because even Obasanjo, who was insisting on the agreement, has shown, reasonable anger that he was offended, so he could have said anything. That's just what I want to correct. Thank you.
Okay, Umar. Because we've made a lot of promises, but we have not kept to anyone. Now, before I go, Mr. Dodge, I'm coming back to you, but let me quickly put this to Umar Sani. Umar, now you probably will argue that there is no evidence, but remember when Goodluck Jonathan was in South Africa, regarding the election, when he was asked a question about the new law about voting and everything, and he said yes, he's going to make this happen, but unfortunately he probably might not be part of it, because this is his last time. Do you remember that interview? Okay,
that interview is still not a confirmation, because in the interview he was contemplating whether to contest or not to contest. So contemplating whether is not the same thing as making a commitment.
All right, so you do agree now. So you see, these are one of the things that, remember when Obasanjo, I can't remember who was speaking to him privately. This was a private conversation, why he felt that this thing wouldn't have happened. I think you're aware of this thing. And he did say, even though he went on national TV, he spoke about it. So what they hold against Goodluck Jonathan is not only what the story you told us right now, it's that thing that he said in South Africa. But because of time, I would have loved you and I to talk about what happened in 2015. It's not going to change anything, but it would be very interesting for people to hear a different side of the story. But let me quickly go to Mr. Dodger and allow him to contribute. Mr. Dodger, I really apologize. We barely have about 9 minutes, please. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, Mindsets. I'll try to be very fast and concise in my submission. Good evening, everyone. I think the first thing I would want to say is that in Nigeria, it is very sad that most of the time you have to choose between your stomach and your voice. And when I say your stomach and your voice, I mean it's literal. You have to choose between whether you want to eat or whether you want to talk against whatever is happening. So, with respect to what is currently ongoing, where a lot of people are expressing disappointments, I would say something. This is just the beginning. It's a race. I'm not out to defend anybody, because for a lot of them, it's bad table manners to talk while you're eating. The second part of it is a lot of them essentially play themselves into the hands of the ruling party when it was time for selection of speaker. The news that went round, even though it's unsubstantiated, is that they paid as much as 250 million. This is House of Reps per Reps member for them to vote for the anointed speaker. So if you've collected money, and you have to understand that these people will transmit this money, they're smart. They keep receipts because they know tomorrow in the future they would love to blackmail. So if you just entered into the house and you collected that money, of which, to the best of my knowledge, if all of them, including the Labour Party, voted the APC anointed, I had looked at it and analyzed, and I thought that, if the PDP could align with, it doesn't matter if the candidate they put out doesn't win, but it makes a statement. If they could align, they could have produced the speaker. If they could have aligned with, the Labour Party, the NMPP, and then it would have really, shaken things up. But, that was the first sign that for a lot of them, they're hungry. Now, moving on, we sent hungry people to the house. It's a lesson for us to learn. It's not enough to say, oh, it was this. I mean, reject the car. I mean, actually sent an Okada, a man who used to drive Okada, to the house. The man who used to drive Okada, I don't know how you want him to see it, But for a lot of them who went to the house, they see it as a life-changing, destiny-changing opportunity to make money. Many of them are not looking at it as, oh, I'm coming back in the next 4 years. They're just like, these 4 years, I never experienced it. It's a jackpot. I go there, I make whatever it is I can, and I come back. That's what happens when we don't scrutinize the people we are sending to the house, and we just send people without proper scrutiny and back checks. But we can't blame ourselves too, because we didn't nominate these people. They were already in the party. Many of them, like we said, were all going to trade in their tickets with people from major parties. But when they saw an opportunity to win, they rode the wave and they won. And we are where we are. Now, there are people I have seen or that I'm looking out for that I believe will come into the house with a difference. In fact, there's a particular person that I have my eyes on, Natasha Akpoti. She's not even in Labour, but I followed her and I followed her antecedents. And she seems like a firebrand politician that sees it as it is. So I'm looking at her and I expect, with the way she's fought and everything, I'm expecting to see some level of empathy and some level of criticism for the common man for her. And this brings me to the second point. A good quality candidate is a quality candidate. A good guy is a good guy. It doesn't matter what party he's in, you see them, they will stand out. Now, for the opposition parties, it's not a kumbaya yet, because we've sent people to the house that are not carrying our cause on their head. So this is what I'll say. I totally buy into the idea. What's the way forward? While I buy into the idea of a new party, you see, I also happen to know those who are ruling more than most people know them. And I know that they're already anticipating that they will stop at everything to ensure that you are unable to register a new party. We'll try. Not that we won't try, but we'll stop at it. When we finished with NSAS, several people actually tried to register a new party, but they placed an embargo on a new party because they knew we were coming. And that's how come we ended up with Labour Party, because we couldn't register our own party. But we are where we are. So when we say what's the way forward, what I've noticed is there are tendencies in the PDP that have the good of this nation at heart. The difference is that for people coming from the PDP, they are more well grounded and they understand politics in its raw form, but then they still have good intentions for the country. There are tendencies in Labour that have good intentions also for this country. The difference is with the Labour and the PDP person is that Labour people are not as well grounded as the PDP people when it comes to politics. They have high expectations and they really do. I would say that it's still going to take a bit of getting used to really understand that politics operates a certain way. But that's life. We all bring ourselves up to speed. Whichever way it happens. So what happens with these two tendencies? What I'll say first of all is that while we are contemplating the idea of a new party, for Labour Party, by and large, the obedience are still largely outside of the Labour Party. The ox in the Labour Party are just driving the party and using the goodwill, or would I say riding roughshod on the goodwill of the obedience. If obedience are the soul of the Labour Party, go and fight hard to take over the Labour Party from the ox that are there. There might still be a new party, but it's advantageous if you actually have taken over the Labour Party. And then when there's a new party, you go with the entire Labour Party and go and join. And if you try and you don't get it, you will still be the obedience. And when there's a new party, you can still go and join. With respect to the PDP, you see, the PDP lost its soul somewhere along the line. And while there are still meaningful people and people who love the PDP and want it to be great, there are a lot of mercenaries, a lot of traders, and a lot of people who stock in trade, is just to compromise and sabotage from within, still in the PDP. The PDP people too have to fight for the soul of their party, those who mean well. And that's why in the PDP, you would have people who are very qualified. The PDP has never been short of qualified people. I can bet it with you. They've always had qualified people. Whenever it is you look for qualified people, they've always had. In fact, the bulk of the obedience today, or the bulk of those who came out, or bulk of them came out from the PDP. So the PDP needs to search back, and those people who mean well for the PDP need to, go back there too and fight for the soul of that party. In this political exercise, it has opened me up. I mean, I now see Atiku Abubakar in a new light. He's not a perfect human being. He has his flaws, but I've also learned something in politics, and it's not about the human being per se, and you're never going to find a perfect human being. You have to find human beings you can work with. You have to find what is workable. Peter Obi has also shown his strengths, and we've also seen some of his flaws. But what I'll say is that there is one more tendency that a lot of us are ignoring. When they say people in the PDP, people in Labour Party, and this particular tendency, for me, they are the most important. Those are people from the AAC, Showore's party. Say whatever you want, classify it in whatever way you want, but those are the guys that can walk the talk and do what they say they are going to do. If those guys say they'll protest, you see them on the street protesting. It doesn't matter if there are 5 of them, they'll be on the streets. If those guys say we are not going to do this, nobody dares do the opposite. They have discipline. And those are the kind of guys who, if they were in the house, would have rejected that jeep. Not the guys in Labour. Those AAC guys, there is massive potential also in that party. They are very disciplined. And I give it to them. If you have a union of the 3, that's going to be the most unstoppable force in Nigerian politics. A union of the intellectuals, a union of the establishment, that's quasi-establishment, and the radicals. I think on this note, I end my submission. That's what the future looks like. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Dodger, for your contribution. Unfortunately, we do not have enough time. It's 10 o'clock, and it's 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. That's what this platform is all about. I know we do have 2 other individuals here, Mr. Kelly and Mr. Lucas. So what I'm going to do, with the permission of the House, I'm going to break the rule, this does not mean I'm doing Ian Okoro, I'm doing Samani by changing the Constitution, right? Let me take that word back. Please, House, let it be that the Supreme Courts work in unison, right? So I would love to, I think it would be fair, not that I would love to, I think it would be fair to allow Mr. Kelly and Mr. Lucas, since both of them are speakers, just to contribute. Maybe we give them another 2 minutes. Is that okay with everybody on the speaker section? Okay, only Dr. Udo responded. So unfortunately, the majority of the senators, so the majority of the Supreme Court justices on this platform rejected that motion that you guys should be allowed to speak. We have about 7 of them. Only 1 of them responded, so I cannot overrule. Let me quickly ask again. Let me try. So are we all okay to allow Mr. Kelly and Mr. Lucas to contribute? Are we okay with that? Okay, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. So, Mr. Kelly, you have the mic, but you have to be very quick with your submission, please, right? Thank you, sir.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, Mindset, for giving me the opportunity to speak. Just to dive right into it, I think I wanted to respond to health is wealth, Adenike. Actually, Madam Adenike, with all due respect, Peter B is doing a lot. I will send you a link to watch his interview on Saddam Space. He did mention that after the Supreme Court verdict, that there's going to be a lot of things done to build the party. But one thing I want to say is that, you see, Nigeria, we are fighting on so many fronts right now. It's just not enough to even form a party. Winning elections, fighting the judiciary, fighting the police. There's fights on many fronts. One single person cannot do this. We need a lot of people to create the critical mass that can win on all fronts. But I don't have enough time to explain some of the things that we need to do. So I'll just leave that. Then someone talked about PDP and Labour Party forming together. Honestly, I think that would be the nemesis of Nigeria. As PDP is right now, they don't even have an identity. Is Wike in charge? Who does the party belong to? You can't form an alliance with who you don't know who is in charge. Until PDP sort out their hierarchical issues and hegemonial issues, any alliance with PDP is a disaster. In my own personal view, it's a pure disaster. Here is a party that is being shredded by two committed individuals. On one side, the Atiku camp, and the other side, the Wike camp. No, honestly, I wish I had time to talk about this, but any alliance of such is completely a non-starter. Then issue of I think I still have 30 seconds. Issue of yeah, one thing I just want to say is this: Nigerians, countries are built not necessarily by political parties, but by the fire in people, the size of the fight in people. A lot of things is going on in our country, but we always, what I would say, outsource our voice to wait until other people speak about it. Nothing stops anybody here from forming groups, forming and taking opposition voices on platforms like Mindset is doing here. But I mean more vigorously across all the 36 states. One thing Labour Party didn't have time to do was to build a party, a proper party, like from local government, and know who is in charge and all that. But I think we have 4 years to do that. People need to start taking ownership of certain things. We outsource a lot of things to our leaders until we start seeing ourselves as a critical leader in building our nation and then doing our own work in our own little bit. I know a lot of people are doing this, but we are
Sorry,
not yet
sorry,
at the
Mr.
takeover.
Kelly, I have to interject.
Yeah,
1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. You see, this is one of the things that I do not like. And when people do it, I don't feel comfortable about it. I said we close this platform by 10 o'clock, but I'm going to give you 2 minutes. You've actually taken 4 minutes. And this Mr. Lucas will not contribute because I'm going to earn the space. That's not fair on yourself. It's not fair on the people that allow you to speak. We must be able, we want our leaders to do something, right? But we don't keep to time. Please, like me or hate me, please respect my time. It's just something I have. That's how my mind works. You know, it just doesn't. I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel good about it when people do things like this, right? But I'm just going to allow Mr. Lucas to speak for 2 minutes, please. Mr. Lucas, you have the mic.
Thank you very much, Mindset. Good evening, everyone. So, thank you for this opportunity. So, what next for the opposition? In my view, unfortunately, there is no opposition. The only opposition here are Nigerians, the obedient movement, leading Nigerians. So, what I will advise, is for the obedience, like other people have, speakers have said, take over the Labour Party and, try as much as possible to get our lawmakers accountable. Apart from that, there is nothing that is going to happen. Somebody was saying about 2027. 2027, mark these words. There is a possibility that all those major parties will field Tinubu as their candidate. Mark what I'm saying. The way everything is going. Mark what he has already captured everybody. Even the Labour Party legislators, that we all, voted in. Everybody's enjoying the largesse and nobody wants to, say a thing. Opposition ended in 2019. I respect, the then Senate President, the one from Kwara State, that was, when opposition ended. So, but if we are serious as Nigerians, this is the time to move on. Those politicians will not help us. They are after their own permanent personal interest. Thank you so very much. I yield the mic.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Lucas, for your contribution. I don't know if I'm following you, but for keeping to time, I'm just following you right now. This, hopefully you keep my time. That's the only thing. That's the thing that worked for me. So on that note, I want to wish everybody well. We'll see you some other time. Nigeria belongs to each and every one of us, and hopefully, if we all work together and form that opposition that we're hoping to form, privately or individually or collectively, then Nigeria will be better. But for those who believe that PDP should work with Labour Party, that's not a bad idea. For those who believe Labour Party should work with PDP, that's not a bad idea. For those who believe that the two political parties should be on their own and do their thing, that's a wonderful idea as well. For those who believe that there should be a new party, fantastic idea. So all the things that we have discussed here right now is to find a way to move this great country forward. But the most important thing that matters to us is Nigeria. It's not all about us, it's about this country. So every contribution tonight is welcomed. Let's go and reflect on it, and hopefully we'll come out some other time and find out where we go from here. And there's a possibility I might want to have, and I want to, okay, let me not promise you guys what if you see another space open, know that I'm going to I'm going to discuss 2015 election with Umar Sani, but let me end this one right now. So I'd like to keep the time. So enjoy the rest of your evening. I will see you some other time. Bye.